Well, hello everybody. I'm here in my new and temporary garage although everything is packed up, I still have a little bit of space to work, so I thought I'd press on with a little bit more work on the Healey. Today I fitted the interior door handles, which, as you know, if you've tried to do it, is very difficult. They have a very small pin which holds them in place, but they're done. And I also had a few issues with the door latch on the MG, and I managed to sort that out. So it's quite nice to be tinkering again, and it's been a while. So today I thought I would do some work on these. These are the rear seat pans of the BN4 and all two-seater Healeys, I guess. I think the later models were held in place with some studs. These have to be screwed in with 4 screws. These are reproductions from Kilmartin's in Ballarat, and very fine they are too, very nicely made and I think very reasonably priced. As you will know, I bought just about all of my body panels from them, the ones that I didn't make. I didn't have these with the car at all, so I had to access them. There weren't even any rusty ones that I could repair, so these are brand new. You'll notice that they have a little ring of holes in there. I'm not sure whether that shows up on the camera. I think it probably does. That's so that when you put the trim in, you stitch through the back of the trim and through these holes and tie them off behind to pull the trim down. I won't pad the bottom of the seat because the trim itself, which I'll show you in a second, does actually have quite a bit of padding in there, but I will run some foam, I think, around this section here just to soften it up a bit. And to make it really comfortable, because I'm sure it's going to be really comfortable to ride in, and I can't imagine anybody wanting to do that, but you never know. So here is the trim piece that goes in there. This is part of the kit that I bought from AH Spares. A couple of people have said that they think the colour is perhaps a bit pale. Of course, it doesn't show up very well in this light. It's a bit hard to get a reading, and that's probably true. It's sort of a mid-red, and initially I did look at having a very dark colour, really quite a dark red, like a claret sort of colour. But this is very, very close to the original red that was on the car, so I think it looks good on the car, and like all colour choices, it's a personal choice, so I'm pleased with that. So what we have to do is get a sharp needle and some thick string, twine of some sort. I've got some nylon string here. I'll use some thin string, thickish medium string, and stitch it through this hem here, which is then pulled through those holes on the back of the seat. So that's the plan for today. I'm going to start it anyway, and I'll run a couple of videos so that you can see the process as I go through. I think this, well, I don't know, but I'm thinking that perhaps this might be some of the easier bits of the upholstery to do, and it is the last bit of the seat, the interior trim, that I have to do. The rear seat, the back of the seat really did tax me a lot. That was probably the most difficult thing to do. So I'm hoping this will be easy and won't take too long. We'll see how we go. So this is the underside of the seat pan padding, and what I've done is I've put this into the seat pan and marked with a black pen where the holes are, and you can just see probably there's a little bit of a mark there. And then I've pre-punched these holes because this leather is very thick. There are 2 layers of leather and 2 layers of vinyl in there, and it is a thick leather, and I was going to try and sew through there, but I discovered that I couldn't do that. So with a variety of sharp objects, I've pre-punched those holes, and then I've threaded through these pieces of nylon. This is a very strong nylon twine, which will allow me to pull through the base, the metal base, and to tie off. These probably should not be individual like that, but it really doesn't matter because they'll be tied off at the end and covered over with some tape so they won't be seen. So I've just chosen the best way to do it. Originally I wanted to put them through, but it's actually quite hard to thread through. Even with this needle, this is the last one here. This is actually quite tough, and I need to use a pair of pliers to pull the needle through. So they must have had a very strong machine when they made this in the factory. So this is the process, and the next step really then is to fit this into the base and pull all these through each hole until the base, the seat padding is tight, and then tie them off underneath and tape them. And there's the finished product. I've also taken the liberty of putting a little bit of hot glue on these knots just to make sure that they don't come undone. And I'm going to cover that with some black tape. I've got some tape here, and that would appear that they did something like that in the beginning. So there we go. There's the seat base fixed in. Of course, that has the effect of pulling this into the bottom. I suspect I'm still going to have to put a little bit of padding, a little bit more padding in there. I have padded that, as you can see, but I might build it up just a little bit more, because the effect of pulling this over the top actually means that it comes up on an angle rather than rounded, so a bit hard to explain. But this is, like most things on the Healey, turning out to be trickier than I expected. Well, I've covered over the string there with a little bit of that gaffer tape, which should last very well, and I've glued on the first section up the top. I'm just now in the process of gluing on the front bit. Now, I've had to cut away some of the foam here, otherwise it would be too thick underneath. So that's the next bit. I figured that I'd start at the top and then do the bottom and then do the sides afterwards to pull it up, because trying to get all the creases out, like all these things, is quite difficult. So I'm just using a straightforward contact adhesive for this rather than a spray on one. I prefer the brush on ones for this sort of work, because I think you can put them on a bit thicker and they seem to hold a little bit better. And here is the finished product, and as you can see, it's come up quite well. I've still got to tidy up the undersides yet, run a knife along there and just clean that up a little bit, but it looks good. These particular ones are held in place with screws rather than, I think the later models had little studs of some sort. These are screws, which meant that I had to punch holes in my beautiful leather. Couldn't be helped. One little tip, of course, is drill the holes in the seats first. If you're using reproductions, they probably won't have holes in them. So drill the holes in the metal before you put this on, otherwise you'll really rip your leather to pieces. But that's pretty good. I've put it in the car, it fits okay. I might run a piece of rubber around the underside. This is a bit of a seal, I'm not sure whether they had that or not. But I put it in the car and it fits well. I've sat in it. I cannot see how anybody could possibly ride in them. I suppose small children could, but as I said before, I don't think anybody is ever really likely to ride in this. So, one down, one to go. And there it is. There's the final product. I've still got to put the screws in yet. You can see there's a few little creases in there. They actually look worse in the vision than they do when you look at them normally, because I've got a light shining on there to show everything up. But they're good. I don't mind a little bit of a crease in the leather. It gives it a sort of a slight patina, but the overall effect is good. I'm pleased with them. They look nice. They look very soft, and they're probably very, very uncomfortable. And just as an aside, you'll notice here that I have the hood frames in place, but I'm missing this front bow. It's broken off. So if anybody has one of those, or parts of one that they're prepared to part with to sell me or to ship, or if I can get any pictures of the sizes to make one, then that would be really good. So that's pretty well all the interior trim done on the car. I still have to fit the armrest in position. That's not done yet, and I've got to figure out a way of doing that, hopefully with a bit of Velcro.